Hey, what's going on, my people? And today I'm here for another installment in my various anime explained videos, this time covering another Bleach topic, the Quincies. Now, ever since I started watching Bleach, the Quincies have always fascinated me, and I've always wanted to know more about them and what they are exactly. However, since the anime hasn't reached the 1,000-year Blood War arc yet, where a lot of the information about the Quincies is consolidated and presented, as well as straight up changed to how it was presented in the earlier parts of the anime and manga, I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who would like to know more about the Quincies in a streamlined format, so that's what I'm going to do today. A quick disclaimer is that this video is going to be explaining the Quincies in a broad format, as there are a lot of details and certain things about the Quincies' history that I could go into that would make this video way too long. As such, this video should be viewed as a general overview of the Quincies as a whole, and details about specific events or Quincy figures will be saved for potential later videos. With that being said, let's get into the explanation of the Quincies. So starting off this video, let's talk about the name Quincy. So the word Quincy is actually of French origin, and the French meaning of the word is estate of the fifth son. However, the kanji used to spell Quincy in Bleach directly translates to English as monk of destruction, which is likely a reference to their combative nature against hollows. Despite this origin, the Quincy faction uses the German language for the naming of many of their techniques and powers, similarly to the Soul Society using Japanese and the Arrancars using Spanish. So as to what the Quincies actually are, they are a race of spiritually aware humans, meaning they can detect the presence of souls and hollows and have the ability to absorb and manipulate reishi into spirit weapons. At some unspecified point in the history of Quincies, they started to divide up their race into Echt and Gemischt Quincies, separating them based on the purity of their bloodlines. Amongst the Quincies, there's said to be an extremely rare variant as well that cannot naturally absorb reishi and instead has the ability to share their soul and powers with others. The only known Quincies of this type are Yuhawk, the Quincy Emperor, and Jugram Hashfalt, the leader of the Sternritter. So going into the history of the Quincy, around 1,000 years ago, Yuhawk, who was the leader of the Quincy army at the time and is credited as being the father of all Quincy, battled the Soul Society and personally fought against head captain Yamamoto, with neither being able to defeat the other. After this battle, Yuhawk supposedly lost his powers and was sealed. The Quincy then became scattered all over the world and were dedicated to fighting hollows. The Quincies actively hunted hollows due to the fact that hollows are actually poisonous to Quincies, and an infection from a hollow eventually leads to the destruction of a Quincy's soul. Therefore, the Quincies viewed the hollows as a grave threat to their general existence. However, this hunting of hollows by the Quincies led to a conflict with the Soul Society. This is due to the fact that unlike Soul Reapers who purify hollows and send them to the afterlife, Quincies completely extinguish hollows and their souls are not returned to the Soul Society. This results in the world of the living becoming heavy with souls, threatening the balance of the worlds and potentially causing the collapse of both the Soul Society and the world of the living. This eventually led to the Soul Society declaring war on the Quincies, which resulted in a massive decrease in the Quincy population and their steady decline. The Quincies later attempted to reconcile with the Soul Reapers, coming up with a plan that they could act as first responders to hollow attacks and protect the humans until the Soul Reapers showed up. However, due to the bitterness felt by the Soul Reapers after the war, they refused to participate in this plan, which led to mutual bad feelings between Soul Reapers and Quincies to grow even further. This shared enmity between the Soul Reapers and the Quincies eventually led to the continuation of the Quincies' war against the Soul Reapers, which is detailed in the 1,000-year Blood War arc of the manga. So one thing I think is really neat about the Quincies is their outfits, which seem to be complete opposite of Soul Reaper outfits. Whereas Soul Reapers wear traditional black hakama, Quincies wear white form-fitting tunics and robes. These outfit designs give the Quincies a distinctly Western appearance, and share some similarities to robes worn by ancient Catholic priests, which is a stark contrast to the traditional Japanese outfits of the Soul Reapers and the Japanese religion of Shintoism. The Quincy cross is also a very important design in their culture and techniques, with Uryu in particular using a Celtic cross to summon his spirit weapon, which was a Christian cross that emerged during the Middle Ages. The Quincy also have a general mark known as a Quincy Zeiken, which appears in many of their combat techniques. So now we get into the really fun stuff, which is the combat abilities of the Quincies, which are numerous and vary greatly amongst individuals, so I'm going to do my best to generalize them. As I said earlier, Quincies fight through gathering and absorbing reishi and forming spirit weapons, which traditionally would take the form of a bow, though this changed during the 1,000-year Blood War arc of the manga, with the Quincies possessing a wide range of weapons. However, despite this change, Quincies predominantly like to engage in ranged combat. Quincies also use something called Ginto, which are capsules that store a Quincy spirit energy that is then later used for a variety of Quincy techniques and spells, which are similar to Soul Reaper's Kido. Quincies additionally utilize a high-speed movement technique called Arrancar, where they ride on the flow of reishi beneath the user's feet. It's been theorized by Mayuri Kurotsuchi that this name for the technique is only used by the Ishidas, and the Wandenreich use a different name for it. This would explain why it has a Japanese name instead of a German one. Another technique the Quincies have is the ability to teleport through the use of shadows. This is different from Arrancar in that it teleports the user rather than have them move, and functions as a doorway between dimensions. I kind of view this technique as the Quincy version of the Soul Reaper's Senkaimons and the Arrancar's Descorrer, though the shadow has additional abilities such as allowing a user to travel to their inner world. Quincies also possess a technique known as Bleach that makes reishi flow directly into their blood vessels. Bleach has different applications, those being Bleach Artery, which is the offensive form of Bleach, augmenting attack power, Bleach Vein, the defensive form of Bleach, which grants heightened durability similar to Arrancar's Hierro and can also be used to stop blood loss, and Bleach Vein Anhaben, which allows the user to extend Bleach Vein outside of their body to create a force field to protect against incoming attacks. Uniquely, Echt Quincies are born with the ability to use Bleach Vein inherently, whereas Gemischt Quincies must learn to use Bleach through training. The last three Quincy combat techniques I want to go over are considered high-level techniques amongst the Quincies. The first is called Ranso Tengai, which allows the user to control their body using strings made out of reishi. This technique was originally designed for old Quincy to be able to fight effectively, and also allows the user to ignore any sort of ailment that would hinder movement. Now the next two abilities are much more interesting in my opinion, and that is the Quincy Let's Steal and by extension the Quincy Volstanding. So I view the Let's Steal and Volstanding techniques as Quincy versions of Bankai and Resurrection in that they are transformation type techniques that Quincies undergo that dramatically increase all of their powers and also change their forms. So firstly, Let's Steal is a form Quincies take upon the removal of their Leiden Hans, or the version Uryu used in the Soul Society arc, the Sanrei glove. The glove itself already augments a Quincy's abilities, but by removing it the Quincy obtains Let's Steal. Let's Steal, which was used by Uryu in his fight against Mayuri, granted him increased reishi manipulation and enhanced all of his base abilities several times over, making him capable of defeating Mayuri's Bankai with a single arrow. However, the Let's Steal's drawback is that it results in the loss of a Quincy's powers shortly after use. Because of this, Let's Steal is seen as an antiquated technique that was replaced with the Quincy Volstanding. Volstanding can be used repeatedly and allows the user to maintain their powers after use. Volstanding is activated through the use of a Quincy's Leiden Hand as a catalyst, though several Quincies have different methods of activation. Uniquely, Volstanding can be activated against the user's will if they lack sufficient control over it and are surrounded by high concentrations of reishi. Volstanding also alters the user's appearance, with most forming wings out of reishi and a halo over their heads in the form of a Quincy Zeiken, though the form a Quincy takes upon activating Volstanding varies greatly. Similarly to Let's Steal, Volstanding enhances a Quincy's ability to break down and absorb reishi, which increases the base abilities of a Quincy as well as their weapon dramatically. However, Volstanding does have some drawbacks, as it is taxing on the user's stamina, and they are unable to use it if the Quincy is in possession of a Soul Reaper's Bankai. And so guys, that concludes my general overview and explanation of the Quincies from Bleach. The Quincies have a lot of history and a lot of techniques and smaller things that I could go into detail here, but I really just kind of wanted to get the general information out. Also, research for this video was really difficult as a lot of the things that were presented about Quincies early on were changed during the 1000-Year Blood War arc. So if there's any inconsistencies or problems with the information I presented, please let me know, but overall, I hope that you guys learned something from this and know a little bit more about the Quincies in Bleach. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching to the very end of the video, and please leave comments in the comment section below recommending topics for me to explain in later videos. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please don't forget to hit that like button on your way out, and if you aren't already, please subscribe to the channel as it helps me out more than you know, and it'll also let you guys know when I post in the future. With that being said, I want to once again thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Later guys!